The Oklahoma City Thunder may just be one of the best teams in NBA history. After winning the title in June, they have started this season 24-2, proving to be legit contenders for maybe years to come. In today's episode of Inside the Zone with Matteo, we take a look at the other contenders, if there are any other contenders in the NBA right now, and see what one trade each of those teams could make to possibly stop the Oklahoma City Thunder from repeating as champions. That is right, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back to Inside the Zone with Matteo. We got another episode for you here on December 17th, 2025. And that intro hopefully was all you needed to know. Basically, we're doing here is we're going to figure out who the other contenders besides the Oklahoma City Thunder are in the NBA and what one trade they could make to maybe boost their chances of beating the Thunder, if it's even possible to beat the Oklahoma City Thunder. We got that thumbnail, probably got some ideas circulating in your head, but it is trade season. Everybody is eligible to be traded except players with no trade clauses. It's going to be really interesting to dive in here and see what we got. So without further ado, let's go to Matteo's show batting order, presented by To Be Determined. If you would like to sponsor this segment, which I basically use every single episode, send me a DM on X, send me, there's some Google Forms in I believe my description of my YouTube channel. You can even you could comment on this video if you wanted to, but I feel like since it's probably been more personal data, DM or using that form, go ahead and use that if you would like to sponsor this segment, which it's basically like the show order of what we're doing for each and every episode. Still presented by To Be Determined. We will figure out that eventually. But yeah, there's four things basically we're doing today. We're going to be figuring out who the heck the other contenders are other than the Oklahoma City Thunder, because I've made a list of a couple NBA teams that I feel like could contend right now, and then we're going to figure out what their biggest need is and then like how they can address that biggest need. And then as we close the show, I will show you the rest of December's 2025 schedule here on Inside the Zone with Matteo. Season 1 is wrapping up. Season 2 starts in 2026. A season is basically just a year. That's how I'm going to do it until maybe we figure out some other situations. But without further ado, who are the contenders other than the Oklahoma City Thunder? Here are the league standings, but we're actually going to go over here just to conference standings because I believe that's easier to take a look at. We're going to start in the Eastern Conference. And right now, the Eastern Conference is definitely the weaker conference in the NBA. But, at the top of the list, you have the Detroit Pistons. The Detroit Pistons and Cade Cunningham have looked pretty darn good. They have won 21 games. They have lost 5 of them. They played a couple fewer games than the Oklahoma City Thunder, but they have looked pretty darn good. They're 7-3 in their last 10. They are on a 4-game win streak. They're averaging almost 120 points a game. Pretty darn good. And, they're going to be one of my first Eastern Conference teams that we will talk about, what could be a fix for that team. Also, the New York Knicks, second in the Eastern Conference. They're winners of 5 straight, including they just won the in-season tournament last night against the San Antonio Spurs. They're sitting at 18-7 right now, 2.5 games back of the Pistons. I do think the Knicks could easily win the Eastern Conference, and if not even make a finals appearance, whether it's against the Thunder or another Western Conference team. And then I do have the Orlando Magic as a contender right now. I wanted to talk a little bit about the Orlando Magic. They're sitting at 15-11. They have lost their last game, but I feel like they're one of my dark horse contenders that could happen. I just kind of thought it would be interesting to talk about them. And then you can't count out the Boston Celtics. Jason Tatum still has not played a game. They're sitting in a playoff position right now. Sitting at 15-11. They are 7-3 in their last 10, but I just expect their numbers to go up once, Jason Tatum gets healthy. So we think, we'll see what we can do there until Tatum gets healthy. I think he's projected to come back around March or April. I did want to see Jason Tatum injury update. Let's just see if they have any new updates. He's recovering or near finish, so then he'll just, let's just see. This is from the Boston Sports Journal. I'm trying to see here. How soon can he return? This was yesterday. Okay, this was written yesterday. Um, they're just, okay, they're just monitoring. This is what it's saying. Um, okay. I'm not quite sure. Nobody really knows. I think so. It was 4 to 6 months. He injured it in June. So, man, 4 to 6 months from June would be. It's 6 months. I mean, technically, 6 months is December. So maybe add 2 more years, 2 more months. Excuse me. So probably we're looking at like a February, March return. Obviously, he wouldn't go to a full-time starter. I don't think. I think he would be a full-time starter. Give it April. But having them in the playoffs, because like right now, this team in a weak Eastern Conference, could slip in for sure. Everybody in the Eastern Conference is tight, but it's also really bad. Like you have, besides the Knicks and Pistons, the Raptors 16-11. That's the next best team, and then you got a bunch of 15-11, 14-11 teams. So theoretically, I think Boston could probably slip in, and then once you get Tatum back, they could be a contender. I do think we saw them go pretty far. We saw them go into the Eastern Conference Finals last year, or at least I'm pretty sure. It was. Oh wait, no, that's right. They played the Knicks and then lost. So yeah, they were in the a second round exit. But still, I do think they could compete, in this weaker Eastern Conference. So that's why I have them on this list. And then other than that, those are the only Eastern Conference contenders I have. As I said, it's pretty weak conference. And then the Western Conference, what are my contenders here? Obviously Oklahoma City, but we aren't going to talk about because it really, as I was saying, is like we're trying to figure out how to beat OKC. So OKC is a contender, but I'm not going to talk about how to make them better because they're already darn good. Denver Nuggets are obviously a contender. I have the Los Angeles Lakers as a contender. I've got the Golden State Warriors as kind of a dark horse contender. Obviously, my Minnesota Timberwolves as contenders. San Antonio Spurs, who beat the OKC Thunder in the in-season tournament. And then you got the Houston Rockets. And then I also threw in the Phoenix Suns. So those are the teams, that I'm thinking of as contenders. So you can see basically the top 8 teams in the Western Conference, I could all see, sliding in into a deep playoff race. I think the Suns and the Warriors are definitely the weaker of them all, but I feel like if one move could maybe help them a lot. So this is how it's going to go. I have a wheel here of those teams other than the Oklahoma City Thunder. I'm going to spin it. That's just how the order we're going to go in talking about trade options and just, doing everything I had here on the show batting order, basically seeing what their biggest need is and how they can address it. So that's what we're going to do here. And we're going to spin the wheel. Here we go. The first team we're going to be talking about, I just feel like this is an interesting way to, shake it up. It is going to be the Boston Celtics. Perfect segue. We were just talking a little bit about the Jason Tatum injury. So I feel like, yeah, that's a perfect option, to, just start with. I think that's a good team to start with. And so let us pull up the Boston Celtics. Wow, why did that sound so weird? Boston Celtics. There we go. Yeah, Boston. recently lost their last game against the Pistons 112-105, which is, hey, that could come into use that, like, hey, they're kind of struggling against the better team in the league, but also if Tatum would play, would they have won that game? Most likely so. Um, so here we go. There is this page. They're playing in 2 days against the Miami Heat, which could be a good test. But we'll look a little bit here at some team leaders. Jaylen Brown is averaging almost 30. Um, Derek White is averaging 5 assists per game. Field goal percentage, Quenta is shooting 65% from the floor. He's playing about 25 minutes a night. Okay, cool, cool, cool. They're averaging about 116 points per game. What did they average? NBA per team. I wondered what did they average last year? Because so I feel like that's a little low, and if they have Tatum, I feel like they would average like 125. Um, Averaging 24 assists is pretty darn good. Oh, here's the injury. Let's see if ESPN has anything about the Tatum injury. Tatum has not been out. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that was from October 9th. There's just no other updates. Okay. Very valid. I'm trying to pull up here this 2024-25 regular season. Okay. Here it is. The Boston Celtics average 116 points per game. Okay. So when you're looking at them, wow, that's I feel like a little low for that team, but I guess so they're like pretty average right now. That's interesting. That is definitely interesting to think. They're averaging 116 points right now. 116.2. They were averaging 116.3 points per game last year. They are now averaging 116.2 games this year. So they're actually kind of averaging the same amount of points. They just can't win as many games, which is very interesting. Um, yeah, that is definitely very interesting. Very interesting. Yeah, last season they were 61-21. Obviously, they would have to only lose 10 games the rest of the season to be that good. This year, they won 64 games 2 years previous, 57 a couple years ago, and then in the bubble season, 51-31. But yeah, I mean, this is definitely a little bit of a down year just because of the Tatum injury. And when you're taking a look here at this depth chart, we want to figure out, what is their weakness, and because that's what we're trying to figure out. You got Peyton Pritchard, Derek White, Jaylen Brown, Jordan Welsh is right now their starting power forward, and then Quinta is their starting center right now. They've been having Luka Garza play some more time. They have Josh Minot playing sometimes, two former Timberwolves who I was able to know a little bit. Obviously, Tatum isn't on here. Tatum would normally play the power forward spot. So in a way, do you want to make a move for a power forward? I just don't think so. I think they want to keep the spot for Tatum open. And, if you go out and trades for a guy, you probably want to keep Jason. If you're going to trade for a guy, you're wanting someone to help you when Tatum is in the lineup. Could that be a center? Quinta's been playing pretty darn good. Peyton Pritchard is that I was thinking about. I was definitely thinking about, could they trade Peyton Pritchard, who is averaging only almost 17 points a game. He's averaging 5 assists, 33% from three is pretty good. He's shooting 44 from the floor. His last 10 games, averaging about 33 minutes a night, 17 points. Yeah, so he's averaging, exactly kind of what he's been averaging for the whole season. Yeah, he's played 26 games. I mean, not as many steals as we probably would want, but I guess for his career, that's average. He's been averaging 9.6 points in his career, and so the 16.7 is more than he's been averaging. Obviously, he's getting older. He's played 373 games. He is 27 years old. So technically, he's in his prime. You could maybe get something for him. Um, if you want to upgrade that position, I feel like you would want to upgrade rather than, like downgrade from that position. So I feel like maybe Pritchard, since he is younger, uh, maybe they'll keep him for sure. But I mean, looking at these stats, I mean they're pretty good this season. People have been kind of like saying, "Oh, he's been having an off season." Well, looks like a pretty darn good season so far for you. But yeah, I don't know. Okay. Peyton Pritchard is making right now, I feel like he's making like 10 million or something like that. Maybe a little less if I'm mistaken. I would like to see your contract. Thank you. Appreciate it. But yeah, 6'1", 195, 27 years old. He's having a pretty good year. Yeah. I don't know if they would move on from him here. I like, what is Derek White doing? What is Derek White doing? Because he is 31. I want to say he might even be at a expiring deal very soon. He's averaging 18.5 and what? How many rebounds? He's averaging 4 rebounds. I mean, that's pretty good for a guard. That is pretty darn good for a guard. But I feel like he is older, and you could upgrade that position somehow with Derek White, excuse me. But Derek White's making 28 right now. Uh, okay. Very interesting. Very interesting. I just want to see how much Pritchard's making. That's what I'm just kind of look here. So this season, Pritchard's making 7 mil. Oh, is he under contract for the next year too? Yes, he is. Okay, he's under team control for the next couple years. Very interesting. Very interesting. Yeah, that changes things. So Pritchard is under contract, making only 7 million. Mm, That I wonder. Yeah, maybe you do try to move him right now. How much cap space? They are over the cap. That is also the thing. Like the cap space, because they're paying two guys so much money in Brown and here's what I'm looking at. Pritchard's under contract for the next couple of years. Derek White, he's under the contract for the next couple of years, and he's actually set up to make more money. So that could be a movable contract. If you want to upgrade your two guard spot, technically Derek White's listed as a point guard, but he's playing the two guard right now. That could be a trade option we want, but I mean, I also want to take a look more at the team overall here in like when I look at their depth chart, I'm like, this team is overall pretty good. And we're trying to take them that next step to, beat the Oklahoma City Thunder. That's kind of how we're going to view things here. And when you're talking about the guys in Oklahoma City, you're talking about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Chet Holmgren, J-Dub. And Chet Holmgren is a big guy. Quinta, how tall are you? How tall are you, Quinta? Are you 7 foot or under? 7. He is 7 foot, so that's a good man to beat. Be on Chet Holmgren, which I maybe want to just keep him. He's averaging almost 10, 8, and 2. 65% from the floor is really good. Last 10 games, he's averaging 11 points, so he's been getting a little bit more. He's played 24 games. Yeah, I mean, like, shooting from free throw percentage needs to be up more, but I mean, for this squad, he's 26 years old. Is he under contract? If he's an expiring deal, you could give him to a contending. He is under contract for the next 2 years, making $2 million. $2 million. I mean, the more I look at this team, the more I like it. I mean, like, there are a couple, other teams, like other places where you could upgrade, but once Tatum comes back, because he will come back eventually, you have a starting lineup of Pritchard, White, Brown, Tatum, and Quinta, with Walsh coming off the bench, Simons coming off the bench, Schneiderman coming off the bench. Minot has been doing pretty good. Hauser is right now day to day. Um, I mean, do you try to get somebody off the bench? I mean, that could be a way where you want to try to get somebody off the bench to expand your bench because I mean, but they're using a 10-man rotation, I'm pretty sure. So, like, that's the thing that, like, I don't know. I don't know. It's really interesting to, take a look at all of this stuff. I don't think they would go for like a star trade. It would be more of a, you know, bench type of dude, or maybe just someone to fill in some holes here. But like, I wouldn't see a Kawhi being there. Like, he's too old. I think they would want somebody, maybe even expiring deal. Um, I mean, Derek White, I feel like he could end up being traded. I really do think he could end up being traded, and then you upgrade your two guard spot. I want to find some, maybe expiring deals too, because you want to lose some salary. Pajemski, could that you give White over to Steph Curry for Pajemski? That could be interesting. That could probably work financially too. We could get that to work. Austin Reeves, they're not going to let go of Stephon Castle. They're not going to let go. Jalen Duren, they're not going to let go. Fred VanVleet from the Rockets making $25 million this year. Dorian Finney-Smith, Jared Vanderbilt, Buddy Hield. I mean, the Warriors, I'm thinking could be a good match. In fact, yeah, let's try that. Let's go over here with the Warriors. I feel like this could help the Warriors too. We'll talk about the Warriors in a little bit. Um, but let's try the Warriors. So Simons and Sam Hauser are both trade candidates right now, but I don't know. 3 years of 91 million for the next couple of years. Golden State, right now doesn't really have a solid two guard. And I mean, imagine a backcourt with Steph Curry and Derek White. That could be a fun backcourt, even if it's an older backcourt. I think you could make this work. Jonathan Kuminga is okay. I mean, Kuminga you could trade. He has a trade restriction though. Why? Does did he just get an extension or something? Oh yeah, he probably did. So we couldn't trade him till then. So we could turn restrictions off if we wanted to. But Pajemski, I think I like Pajemski here, a younger shooting guard. So you trade him to Boston, and you still need 24 million. So Kuminga gets you there. So hold on, let's take the restrictions off here, just so it makes it easier. But Jonathan Kuminga and Brandon Pajemski for Derek Wright. This would currently fail. Yeah, I know. And then you need somebody making like 2 million. Santos a little younger. I think they probably want to keep him. These are all minimum deals. Melton. I think that maybe. I think Melton's playing an interesting role over there. But I'm trying to think. Curry, Butler, Draymond, White. And then who's your center right now? Al Horford. Then you have Hield and Moses Moody coming off the bench. I mean, I still like this if you're Golden State. So yeah, you could get rid of any of these guys. I think Seth Curry will stay here because, maybe a younger center and Quinn Post you could do, but 1.9 mil, that actually fits it perfectly. I don't know if they would want to give him up though. I think they like him. Santos, you could do. Or Trace Jackson Davis. Let's try this. Does this work financially? Currently fails. It's just too much money. Yeah, quit and post. I feel like this works financially, right? This currently fails. What happens? First, Abe cannot take out more. Oh, because yeah, again, the salary stuff doesn't work as much here. So quit and post, maybe remove you. Pajemski and like who? How do we get this salary? Do we do like Moses Moody and Buddy Hield instead of Kuminga? But I think Kuminga, low key, I think Kuminga would be a good would be a good fit for the Celtics. So maybe if we could just get, I mean, yeah, you're losing your starting shooting guard, so you need a shooting guard of some kind. So 5.6 million. Al Horford is obviously no, but Buddy Hield. You put Buddy Hield in, he could be your starter. I think you'd be fine with that. He is 33, but so you get actually downgrade there. Pajemski, I really like Pajemski in this deal. Uh, and then, to get what Post, you had Post in just because it lines up salary wise. Why did Post not go? There we go. Okay, so right now 28 for what? 22.5. You just had to add a league minimum contract. Like an insane. They don't really have a league minimum. Golden State, this should work. It fails. The Warriors are acquiring too much money now. Man, this is where it gets stingy with all this stuff. So hold on, let's remove this. Send somebody out with a little more money here. Not Pritchard, obviously, but a Sam Huser. He's making 10. So hold on, we send Huser and Derek White, to Golden State. That, and then you're 10 million short. We remove Post from this deal, and maybe you try to get then. So you remove Post, have them keep Post, add like a Buddy Hield, and you're down a little bit money. But like Kuminga, Hield, and Pajemski for White and Hooser, 2 million. Warriors are acquiring 2 million too much. Obviously, you have salary. You can throw in Chris Boucher, or is there a Josh Minot? He's good, but I think they would keep him. Chris, you add him to Golden State, and that should do it. That should make it. I mean, it's going to be just like the teeniest bit. Warriors are acquiring too much money, 38 million. We're sending out not enough. Oh, we're not sending out enough from the Warriors. Oh, I got you. Um, yeah, maybe we could do White and Butcher for Kuminga, Heel, Pajemski, or no, maybe we do Hooser. Take Butcher out. I'm just trying to mess around here, and this is what you could do. Go ahead and also in the comments down below, let me know your trade ideas. I would love to hear them. But Golden State, figuring this all out. So if we take Pajemski out of this deal, we should be able to add like somebody in technically. But I think I want Pajemski in this deal. Pajemski, Healed, and Kuminga. We could try removing Healed and putting Moses Moody in. I feel like that could does that get us 0.4 million? 0.4 million. So obviously something like that could happen where you get Moses Moody, who is 23 years old. Kuminga's 23, and Pajemski's 23. Maybe that is a little too much, and then the Warriors get older, but more like ready to win Curry another championship or trying to win him another championship. Maybe you take Pajemski out of this deal here, and you're what? How much short? You're short 4.1. You throw in, I don't know, like Gary Payton or something like that. But something like this, I think, would do good for Boston, especially Boston gets Kuminga and Moody, gets their bench a little bit better. Sure, you're a little weaker in the starting lineup, but once Tatum again comes back, you can have Moses Moody or Pajemski start for you, and I think that would be fine. But something like that, I think, could work, for the Boston Celtics, who I think that is definitely what they would need. That type of trade where you maybe get rid of Derek White, who is making quite a lot of money, and you maybe just try to build around Jaylen Brown, who has been playing good. You could trade Jaylen Brown. I wouldn't be opposed to that, but I just don't see that happening. Peyton Pritchard, the more I think you could trade him, but I think the return wouldn't be what you want now because you want to win now, and you're trying to make yourself better than Oklahoma. I think Pajemski, I think Kuminga, I think Moody, one of those guys could help you in a series against, because I think the Celtics don't have a deep enough bench. Like for the regular season, they have a deep enough bench, but not for the playoffs, So that's kind of what I'm thinking here, which I thought, let me know. Do you guys like that? Like that or not? Let me know down in the comments down below. But we will move on now from the Boston Celtics. We will move on to this next spin the wheel. Hopefully we don't land on the same team. We will not. We will land on the Phoenix Suns. Phoenix Suns are going to be very interesting. The Phoenix Suns. Oh man, this is gonna be interesting to talk about for sure. Let's find the Phoenix Suns here on ESPN. Where are the Suns? There they are. Sorry, I apologize. There we go. The Phoenix Suns right now sit at 14-12 on a 2-game losing streak. But in the standings here is the more look standings. They are in a play-in spot right now. I do think they could slip into the playoffs as a play-in spot. And I think they could, if they make the right moves, could end up maybe making a little farther. I'm not going to spend much time on the Phoenix Suns, but I did want one trade in particular ideas. There are some trade ideas. So here's their depth chart coming up for you guys in 3, 2, 1. There we go. You have Devin Booker, you have Grayson Allen, you have Dylan Brooks. Those three, and then Mark-Evan Williams is good. The point guard spot is a little concerning with Colin Gillespie. So I'm thinking, what do you do to get, a solid point guard? Maybe not a big name, but a point guard that can help you in the playoffs. And somebody that I'm thinking about is the Houston Rockets. I don't know if you make a trade with the Houston Rockets, but Fred VanVleet, I do think, could be that guy that the Phoenix Suns try to get. The Phoenix Suns have do not own their first round pick in 2027. But I do believe you could mess around here. So obviously Frank VanVleet is I don't know why I always say Frank, but Fred VanVleet, older guy. He does have no trade cost though. That's unfortunate. Oh, that's unfortunate for sure. Who's their point guard right now? Because he's hurt right now, technically. Oh yeah, Amen Thompson. And Reed Shepherd are their backcourt. But let's say if he doesn't veto his trade, it's only $25 million, and you have that money with a couple players. Grayson Allen is a trade candidate right now. And when you're thinking about the Rockets, they need more of a front court. They have a good backcourt, but really they'll take anyone, is my guess. So, probably Grayson Allen would be fine. You're basically swapping guards, which is totally fine. This right now currently fails, obviously, but then you need just some more money. Nate Richards, I like this for both teams as well. So you play that in, and then you need another contract. Ryan Dunn, that probably works. He's a little younger, so maybe Jordan Goodwin, or you do put Gillespie back into this trade, and that could make things interesting. I would kind of want a little more money sent out from the Rockets so we could send in somebody else. I don't think they want Clint Capella on this team. They have Steven Adams as their starting center, and Şengün and Steven Adams. They have a lot of centers, so yeah, maybe send Clint Capella to Phoenix. Actually, I kind of like that. Then VanVleet and Capella. Then you are able to send out Royce O'Neal, possibly, or Mark Williams, your younger center. Maybe you do keep Mark Williams though, and you get rid of a younger guy, make Houston a little younger. But the Rockets in this way you're getting Grayson Allen and Nick Richards, but then you also get this Mulchup, whatever guy is, and then the $3 million. It's hard to get exactly there, but I'm trying to figure out some trades, ideas, things like that. It would work financially most likely, and you could always add picks. Obviously, I would add probably a first round pick, the Cleveland pick. So I'd add in that pick. Let's see if we could figure out a way. So Capella, that's 31 mil. That's a lot of salary to give up, and the Suns don't have as many bigger contracts. You could get rid of like a Jalen Green, and this would kind of be funny just because they traded KD already, so maybe they wouldn't want to retrade him, but right now, Grayson Allen, a first-round pick, and Ryan Dunn would make up a good money. And then I feel like, you take Clint Capella out of this trade just to see where we're at financially. So $8 million more needs to go to get out of the Suns system here. So they just don't really have any good pieces to offer. I mean, like Royce O'Neal, he is also a trade candidate. You send him to Houston, and then Houston gives you too much. Houston's acquiring too much, so they give you somebody with league minimum, making league minimum. He is Josh Okogie. I actually don't mind that. Send to Phoenix. It's 0.3 million. They could figure something out here. Grayson Allen, who's a shooting guard, helps the Suns. Helps the Rockets, their depth in their backcourt. And then you also get Royce O'Neal, who's a good off the bench. These are both guys who can come off the bench. You're just replacing your bench kind of with better players. Van Vliet could be your starting point guard with the Suns now. I do like that. He would probably even though he can veto the trade, but I do think he would want to be in the starting lineup. And a backcourt of Van Vliet, Devin Booker, and then you got the rest of your starting lineup would be right over here. So replacing Gillespie, and Gillespie can be your now backup PG. You got Van Vliet, Booker, Grayson Allen would not, because I believe we were trading him in that deal. Yep, and Royce O'Neal we trade. So who would be your starting small forward? Well, we would be also getting Josh Okogie, who can play the small forward position, Dylan Brooks, and Mark Williams. I mean that lineup. It's not obviously. Can it beat the Oklahoma City Thunder? Probably not. But I feel like that could be the trade that they go down if they were to make a trade. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking here for the Phoenix Suns, who I do think could slip in, and maybe if there's injuries, could take advantage, and who knows, maybe be a threat into the playoffs. But now, let's move on back to this wheel. What team are we talking about next? We did the Suns and the Celtics. We're going to talk about Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets. All right. This one's going to be interesting as well. I feel like some of these teams, in a way, I do think Denver has enough to beat OKC if Jokic, continues to improve. Not improve, but just to be himself. They're coming in right now, as we're talking about this video, on a 5-game winning streak, second in the Western Conference, 19-6. Right now, they're rolling. The one place that I am a little iffy about them right now is because of injuries. Aaron Gordon and Christian Brown are injured. Normally, your starting lineup would be Jamal Murray, Cameron Johnson, Christian Brown, Aaron Gordon, Nikola Jokic. Right now, it's Murray, Johnson, Jones, Watson, and Jokic with Brown, Hardaway Jr., Valchenius, and Ninji as your backup guys. It's just a little sad, right? When are those guys coming back? Well, I mean, the fact that also they've been winning without those guys is insane. Brown is doing some training, but he's out for a while. Gordon, hamstring, is not expected to return before Christmas. You could get a replacement for these guys, but to be honest, I just don't see it being, you don't really need to. These guys have been winning with all these guys, so I feel like you can improve your bench somehow. That would be great, but other than that, keep it how it is. The Denver Nuggets right now, what's their salary cap in? Well, you're under the cap, as obviously you're paying some guys insane amount of money. Nobody's really set to become a free agent though. Tim Hardaway Jr., you could trade him away because he's got an expiring deal. And I do think that's what we could do. Upgrade the bench with one more guy. Like they brought in Westbrook last year, that type of trade here. So Tim Hardaway definitely could be somebody you trade for. He's been playing I'm being pretty darn good, I'm pretty sure. For the Denver Nuggets in his first year there, right? This is his first year. He's been in the league he's almost played 1,000 games. I mean, he's averaging 13 points a game. That's pretty darn good. Hitting 40% from three. That's, he's 33 years old, so maybe a contending team. Yeah, that could go for sure. I'm thinking like that could go to the Celtics if they wanted Tim Hardaway. I feel like I could see that, but I feel like they'll probably keep Hardaway. But if they were to trade, I feel like they would trade Hardaway away. I'm trying to think who would they go for here, like a Hachimura type of deal, maybe. Jordan Poole. Jordan Poole could be interesting. Let's take a look at Jordan Poole. So could we see a Nuggets Pelicans trade? Jordan Poole has been okay this season, and he's been battling injuries as well. But let's say he were to go to Denver. I don't know if you can get this, but a shooting guard could even think about taking Cameron Johnson and putting him as your sixth man after this. But Tim Hardaway, Jr. is only making league minimum, which is also where it gets kind of crazy. Valchinius, you could talk about that. Maybe you even take away Cam Johnson for that. I don't know if you would do it, but if you were to make a bigger trade, I would think about doing this. Jordan Poole for Cameron Johnson. Nuggets would acquire $10 million too much. You add in Valchinius or Ninji. He's actually a trade. He's a trade candidate. So 2 million you would have to get rid of there. You could add in, like maybe a Holmes, or you do have a lot of small forwards, or Jalen Pickett right here, sent to New Orleans. They get a little younger. They get a good star in Cameron Johnson, but I think Jordan Poole is a little better. I like Jordan Poole a lot. Um, what's he? What are his numbers though? I would like to see that. I'll try to pull him up for you guys here. Jordan Poole is averaging 17 points, 18 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists this season. He has played 9 games only this season, so yeah, he's injury prone. But compared to what's Cam doing? What's Cam doing at? We go over here to the Nuggets. Cam Johnson. I mean, yeah, he's good, but I could see this happening. I kind of like that trade idea, and I think we could get it done. So let's see not Christian Brown, Cam Johnson. Where are we at? Cameron Johnson, he is 29 years old. So how old is Jordan Poole? Jordan Poole is 26. So you go back a couple years. He has only about 1 year-ish left on his deal after this, but Cameron Johnson has 1 year too. So it's the same. You're just paying a little more. But I do think Jordan Poole is better. Cameron Johnson's averaging 12, 3, and 2. Okay. I mean, that's all you have to see. That is all you have to see to consider this trade now. So Jordan Poole for Johnson, Ninja, and Pickett. Point 0.4 basically is what we're talking. So let's see if I can find somebody with that. Strother. Let's try that. He's young as well. Good. I just want to give the Pelicans some young players. Make it up. Does this go 0.1? Bro, I don't care. I couldn't care less. Does this make it? It could go, but I feel like that would be too much. But the Pelicans, I believe, have salary as well. They have money. The Pelicans do. When I'm taking a look here at their salary cap, yeah. Oh, they're actually under. So you could, in a way, get rid of Jordan Poole, give him some more co-stars give Zion some co-stars if Zion wouldn't be traded. But yeah, let's go back to this trade. You get a 25-year-old who has 3 years left in Zeke. Then you get Cam Johnson, who's pretty good. And then you get Strother, who has 2 years left on his deal. And you're giving up Jordan Poole, but Jordan Poole, you want to see him succeed. I know he's younger, but I feel like you could do this. And I feel like you don't need your pick also. So you say you give up your first-round pick. Maybe you even throw in a 2028 or 2020. I mean, you can't trade 2 straight, but you could you have the Oklahoma City Thunder pick. Yeah, that you could get rid of Harry. You could give them 2 first-round picks even if you wanted, and something like that I feel like could happen, and I think that helps the Nuggets' chances helps the chances of the Nuggets beating the Oklahoma City Thunder. So we did that. I know I'm not spending as much time on all the team. I'm just kind of talking through some trade ideas. Let's go. Who's the next team? The next team we'll talk. Oh, okay. The Golden State Warriors. The Golden State Warriors are up next. And we already talked a little bit about maybe trading, Moses Moody or somebody, like that. But this is where we could go start getting some Giannis trade ideas. We will talk about maybe trading Giannis to a couple different spots here because obviously he's the biggest name on the block. Me personally, I don't think he's going to be a Golden State Warrior, so we're not going to, talk about that much. But the main thing is, when I think about the Golden State Warriors, is that Steph Curry needs somebody other than Jimmy Butler to be his supporting cast. He needs somebody else to help him. They got young assets, and I do believe they could find a trade. Could that be Giannis? For sure. But I don't think that they want to pay that much money. Obviously, Draymond would have to be in that trade. I think they like Draymond a lot. I'm looking at like I don't know exactly who I'm looking at though. That's what I'm like. Some of these dudes that people are saying like, yeah, I don't really think that, but I mean, some of these players are only for Giannis. That I'm just looking at also. Okay, yes, here is exactly a a cheaper center. They need a cheaper big man, and Zubac is exactly who I was thinking about. I was trying to find my notes here, but Zubac. This is what I want to do. I want to do Golden State Warriors LA Clippers trade here. Because when you look at that, you need somebody in your center role other than Draymond. I know we all love Draymond, but I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Draymond. What would it take to get Zubac? Well, I think you probably have to give up a first, but he is on a contract. He's supposed to make a bunch of money. Draymond would probably go there, but I don't think that he would want. I think you need to give him younger players, and that is exactly where Jonathan Kuminga comes in. We got to take these restrictions off. Obviously, this could happen at the trade deadline. Kuminga, I feel like this matches salary exactly. Clippers actually acquire too much salary by taking this. The Clippers would have to send somebody else back on this trade, or maybe we just give somebody else so then we can, Kuminga and maybe Moses Moody. No, I think we'll keep Moses Moody here. Pajemski, you could think about trading over there. Post, maybe, just because you don't need a bunch of centers, but like Al Horford was going to stay as your backup. Draymond will stay. And I think you can keep these guys. But like a Melton is 3 mil, so then you have to pay 7 million, 7.5 million, which is easier to find somebody making that much or about that much. Brooke Lopez, not that type of dude. But Derek Jones Jr. could be interesting. Chris Dunn could be interesting. But you do need a forward of some kind, and it's just trying to find that right forward. Kawhi's contract is stupid. It's absolutely stupid. It's absolutely stupid. Bogdanovich is in a trade candidate. He's a shooting guard. He's making 16 million. So Zubac and Bogdanovich for Kuminga and Melton. I mean, it works financially for one team, but you have to give them then another salary here. Buddy Hield, I'm for sure okay sending him over there. Um, Obviously, I'm not. It works, kind of. Trade successful. It works, though. Okay. So it works. Zubac and Bogdanovich for Kuminga, Hield, and Melton. Something like that. I think the Warriors could for sure use their own first round pick in this deal. And something like that, I think, would for sure elevate the Warriors' chances of beating the Oklahoma City Thunder. Because imagine this lineup here. I'm just gonna paint the picture for you. Steph Curry as your point guard. You got Jimmy Buckets at the 2. You instead of Post starting at the center, you have Draymond and Zubac as your front court, and then Moses Moody stays as your 2 guard, or you could even have Pajemski be your 2 guard. Your bench does get a little, and then you have Bogdanovich, or Bogdanovich could be your starter as well. Who he's older, but he still has a year left on his deal anyway. Hield and Kuminga just would be the guys you wouldn't be able to start anymore. But Pajemski, Spencer, Post, Hortford, those guys could all be on your bench. I mean, I like this team. I like that team if you were to do that. And I think something similar to that. Obviously, there are rumors of him, maybe Giannis wanting to go there. So how would they get Giannis? I think they're one of the least teams to, like, not to get him. I just can't see that happening. I think I see a lot of the Knicks. I think the Timberwolves, are the 2 teams that I feel like I could see them. But let's say Giannis were to go to the Golden State Warriors. This is where you would have to give up one of your bigger salaries. I think you for sure trade deadline mode. Kuminga goes, Draymond goes, and then you need to send one more money out here. I think Pajemski could be the case here. But maybe Buddy Hield, or no, they probably want a younger dude. Moses Moody, he has a couple years left. This trade is successful. The Milwaukee Bucks would have to waive a couple players. So they would have to waive 2 players. So in order to keep, people with jobs, let's just send Giannis out over there. The trade should still work. Yeah, but still works, and then Milwaukee would just have to waive one player. They could waive Alex Antetokounmpo or something like that. But you have Giannis and Giannis going to them for Draymond, Kuminga, and Moody, and your new lineup would be once everybody's healthy, Curry, Butler, Giannis as your big three, then Al Horford and Quinn and Post as your centers. And then who we're getting rid of Kuminga and Moody as well, however. So then Pajemski would probably be your shooting guard. Um, and that would work financially. I just don't know if Milwaukee would take it. And that's just kind of what I'm dealing with there. But anyway, I think that could happen. I just think it's one of the Warriors are one of the teams that I think have the least interest in Giannis and just the least chances of getting Giannis Antetokounmpo. But that is just my opinion, and obviously things could change drastically. But yeah, we'll see what happens with Giannis. I think Giannis will get moved. Maybe to this team, the Detroit Pistons. All right, Detroit, best team record-wise in the Eastern Conference. We got the Detroit Pistons, who are, I think 24? No, 22. Here, let's pull up these standings. We're finally going back to the Eastern Conference, 21-5 right now, and Cade Cunningham has looked pretty good. Cade Cunningham, I wouldn't say he's better than some of the players that people are saying he's better than, but he's averaging 27 points, 9 assists. Duran's having good fun at center. He's shooting also 65% from the floor, which is insane. They beat the Celtics. They beat the Bucks. They beat they beat all the teams in trade rumors. They are playing Dallas in a couple days, which that should be fun. But yeah, they're on a 4-game winning streak right now. And overall, their depth chart, I don't think they have many injuries, but Cade at your 1, Duncan Robinson is their Thompson, Tobias Harris, and Jalen Duren. I do think their bench is pretty good with Ivy, LeVert, Green, Stewart. I do think they should upgrade a little bit if they were to make a trade at the shooting guard position. And who would that be? Well, there are a couple guys in mind. Shooting guards. Derek White could be one of them. Very much so. In fact, let's try it. Let's just try it. Let's just try Derek White or Afrani Simons. My gosh. Wow. I can't talk. Afrani Simons. One of those guys I think would be, so Boston and who? It's the Detroit Pistons. I think Boston would have to get a fair return in order for them to be willing to trade with one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference. But Simons, let's just do Simons. I feel like that. I mean, we could get him same salary wise. He is an expiring contract though, so that could be exactly a good win now moment. Like expiring contract, we think you can do it, and then maybe we win your loyalty and you re-sign with us. But I think Tobias Harris would be for sure that easy trade. And then you're just $1 million short of this, and then you probably have to give somebody else. You would have to give the Celtics something pretty good for this. And I think this is actually a really, really realistic trade. Cesar. Well, you have to be just careful because you can't give up too much because they're in like the weird. They're paying so many people so much money. But I think if we find Boston and find somebody who we can just give a little more money just for a good return here, Schneiderman could be somebody. Gonzalez could be somebody. Pritchard, I mean, could be interesting. Or Sam Huser, also once, as a trade candidate. Then you give them somebody worth that $11 million. Chris LeVert, 31 years old. I think probably not because you're getting rid of an old. No, you're not actually getting rid of an old. Because I thought we were trading Derek White. LeVert to Boston. I don't hate it, but it is again too much salary. Jaden Ivey's 23 years old. You trade young. Trade young. Not Trey Young. Trade young small shooting guards. This does work. Simons and Hauser go to the Pistons. Ivy and Harris go to the Celtics. Do I like this? I think so. I mean, you obviously it would be Cade, Simons, Thompson, Hauser, and Duran. Is that better than Cunningham, Robinson, Thompson, Harris, and Duran? I think so. Your bench does get a little. I mean, but then you slide Robinson down to the bench. Um, yeah, I think I kind of like that too for the Pistons. Obviously, you can make a bigger move for Giannis because they are definitely been in the Giannis sweepstakes, and Giannis has hinted like, yeah, I could see myself maybe going there. I mean, he said that a lot about a lot of other teams, but I'm not really interested to see how that would go. I think Pistons have a lot of assets that you know the Bucks might want. But so Giannis is making 54 million, and they just would have to send so many assets. I think Isaiah Stewart would have to get sent. I think Duncan Robinson would have to get sent, and I think Tobias Harris would have to be sent. Uh it passes. So it would be something like that. Duncan Robinson, obviously, maybe you try to remove him from the trade. 12 more million. Jaden Ivey, you could think about trading. The Cade, you want somebody in the small shooting guard. So Levert and Ivy, I would keep them. And yeah, probably Robinson. So you're trading a whole front court piece for Giannis Antetokounmpo. Your new lineup would be Cunningham, Levert, Thompson, Duran, and Antetokounmpo, which I mean, it is pretty tempting, but Milwaukee would have to waive two players, or you could send players back. Probably Giannis would go into this trade. I just like to keep Giannis into this trade, and then you could also add in like just again another cheap league minimum Andre Jackson, and it works financially. Yep, trade successful. Just so nobody has to waive any players. And then obviously, if you were the Pistons, you would give up your first round pick for this year. You would give up your first round pick for next year. And that's just, you can't trade back to back years. That's right. 26, 28. Um, I think that would be very valid for Giannis, and I think Giannis could help that team win a lot for sure. But I don't know if it's technically realistic. But yeah, that Simons trade with Boston could be realistic for the Pistons. But yeah, I'm gonna be interested to see, how those teams end up playing, down the stretch, and if their GMs make any trades. Which, yeah, it's gonna be interesting. So moving on, I will remove that team from the next, but we got Houston. Okay, so we'll remove Houston and Detroit. The Houston Rockets. Houston Rockets, we kind of talked about them a little bit in that Frank Van Vliet could be on the move for sure. Sorry, this is loading. There we go. It is finally back. It sometimes takes a while. So yeah, the Rockets we're going to talk about now here. We just talked about the Detroit Pistons, which means I'm gonna take out the Orlando Magic, and I just want to talk about the Knicks, Lakers, Spurs, and Timberwolves. Sorry, Magic fans, I'm just gonna pull you guys out. But the Houston Rockets are sitting at 16-7, as you might recall. They are fifth in the Western Conference, sitting half a game over the Minnesota Timberwolves. And while they have been decimated with injuries, they're not really far off from competing with. I mean, you have Kevin Durant on your team, so you can't count yourself out. Durant may be the greatest scorer of all time. Amen Thompson, Josh Okogie, Kevin Durant, Jabari Smith, Alfred Şengün. You have Tari Eason coming back. He could be a trade chip, or you could hold on to him. Van Vliet is also injured. Holiday, Shepherd have been stepping in. Adams has been stepping in. Capella has been stepping in. And I think Clint Capella could be a trade asset. You go try to get somebody out. I'm talking a guard. A guard is definitely who they probably need. Tyler Hero has been rumored, and I think that could be for sure interesting. And I think that is what we're going to try to do. We're going to try to do a Miami Heat trade, who the Heat – yeah, they're in like a playing spot type of situation here. But the Rockets and Heat, I could see them being trade partners for sure. And I'm just really interested to see, what these teams do if they do anything. But Tyler Hero is making 31 million. He is 26 years old. He has 2 years left on his deal. He goes to Houston, helps that, team out. I think Steven Adams goes in there to match that salary, and then you need still 16 million. And this is where one of your, I think Reed Shepherd would have to probably go in here, just to give Miami somebody to replace. But you're replacing Shepherd with Tyler Hero, and then Tari Eason, again, a trade candidate. I know it's a lot for a Hero, but I think that's what you would have to do. I know it doesn't totally match up right now, but something like that without having to give up picks, because I think the Rockets value their picks a lot. But something like that, obviously, Steven Adams could help you if you're the Heat, and you could have a front court of Adams and Adebayo. Obviously, then you have your back court of, Shepherd and, I don't know, Powell. Like, it would be interesting. I don't know if they would totally do this, but I think that could for sure be an option for them to do. So yeah, we'll figure that out. I think the Houston Rockets though do need a guard of some kind. So that's why I was talking like, maybe even Pajemski. Pajemski's come up a lot today. But guys, who can make a impact and maybe help your team take the next step. You need some good guards if you're playing SGA, if you're playing J-Dub, if you're playing Lou Dort. They got the big guys in Durant and Şengün, even Clint Capella. But they need some more guard play, and they are young, so they could need some more experience. Tyler Hero is a little bit more experienced. He's in his 30s, and not 30s, 26. He's 26, right? Yeah, he's 26, but he has had some experience of 6 years. He's 6'5", 205, and I think that could go. And it helps the Heat have some younger players in Tari Eason and Reed Shepherd, but also giving them Steven Adams, also, and it would work financially with that trade. So yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what might happen. But let's head back to the wheel. We got our final four teams. Final four teams. Here we go. Spinning. Who are we talking about next? We're going to be talking about the one, the only New York Knicks. Interesting. Next up, here we go. The New York Knicks. All right. The Knicks is obviously, we know who the New York Knicks are, and we know who they've been rumored to get. The Knicks are 18-7, as I mentioned a bit earlier. Definitely could win this Eastern Conference, but to win against the Oklahoma City Thunder, to win the NBA Finals, probably having to go through Oklahoma City or another team if they are able to beat them, you're going to need somebody else. And that is, y'all know who that is. If you've been around the sports world for a little bit, Giannis has been rumored to go to the New York Knicks for a long time. How would they get this done? Well, if you've seen this, obviously you would have to, basically even, oh man, what did I do? What did I do? I'm sorry. What did I do? There we go. My bad. Giannis Antetokounmpo would go to the Knicks. And then in order, to trade for him, you would have to get rid of Karl-Anthony Towns. And that salary is basically almost a 1-for-1. It works almost perfectly by itself. You would have to give up something else, however. And I think this is where also I've seen a lot of trades with Kyle Kuzma also being there. Give them a little older power forward, and then you would give them OG Anunoby or someone like that. Miles Bridges, trade restriction, you can't trade him till exactly the deadline. So we say we are on trade deadline day. But Josh Hart, I think Josh Hart is good. He's 30, but then I still think you give them one more player. And I guess it be maybe a Jordan Clarkson. But they do need a little bit more than that. So maybe a Miles McBride, and that should make everything go good. That doesn't go, it's 0.4, whatever. Towns, Hart, McBride for Antetokounmpo and Kuzma. just to get all that salary matched up well. But you could also theoretically put Mikal Bridges into this trade, and that's insane because he's under contract for like the next 5 years. Take Josh Hart out of this deal. You have Towns and Bridges for Antetokounmpo and Kuzma, and then you give, this young dude who's an expiring contract. You just add it in for everything to work. Yep, it's good. It works financially. Towns, Bridges, and this guy, for Antetokounmpo and Kuzma. Obviously, I think the Knicks would win this trade, but you also have the Knicks losing two of their starters. Kuzma could be a starter for sure, and your new lineup would be Brunson, Antetokounmpo, Kuzma, Hart, and Anunoby. Obviously, you could do also some three-team trades as well. If you were to do that, I think you would probably use the Bulls, and we'll experiment that a little bit with the Minnesota Timberwolves when I get to there because I've already done some. So if you've seen that episode, you kind of have an idea of where I'm going to go for this. But Giannis and Nick would be insane, and I feel like that's one of the only major trades that they would make. I really do think that's. But if they can't get Giannis, if somebody else gets Giannis, or Giannis just doesn't end up getting traded, I could see them upgrading their two guard spot, trading Josh Hart, to a team who needs a shooting guard. Hey, could be the Houston Rockets, and maybe getting, I don't know exactly, but we'd figure that out. They'd figure that out, and I just really think that if they're gonna make a trade, it's going to be for Giannis Antetokounmpo. Kyle Kuzma will probably just thrown in because he's not valued very much, but it's his salary that gets you Mikal Bridges as well, and that's two young pieces. Towns is on our contract for the next 3 years. Uh, Mikal Bridges is under contract for the next 5 years. That gives you a really big building block for the Milwaukee Bucks as well. You would have Turner, Towns as your front court. Then you would have, probably Gary Trent Jr., Mikal Bridges, and then you would need another point guard probably. You could try to get a point guard in this trade as well if you wanted to, and that would be your new starting lineup, and then you would get probably picks. I think you would probably have to give up, if you were the New York Knicks, you would have to give up one more pick, your pick for this year. Or no, they have even the Washington pick. That would be good. You try to get that Washington pick. Washington's supposed to end up pretty bad, and you never know what might happen there as well. So I'm very interested to see what might happen with the Knicks and the Giannis situation, but we will move on. We will move on from the Knicks. We got 3 teams left. They're all Western Conference teams: the Lakers, the Spurs, and the Minnesota Timberwolves. When will we talk about my Minnesota Timberwolves? I have no idea. Will it be now? And yes, it will be, from one Giannis target team to another. These are really the only 2 teams I think that would get Giannis theoretically: the Timberwolves or the Knicks. And we're going to do them back to back here. Perfect timing. I love this. So let's get over there on ESPN. But yeah, the Minnesota Timberwolves basically, sit at 17-9, winners of 2 straight, 7-3 in their last 10, and we know that they have what it takes to beat the Oklahoma City Thunder in at least 1 or 2 games. But it's now taking that next step, making them ultimately better than the Thunder. It's going to be hard, but obviously it's Giannis Antetokounmpo. Antetokounmpo is really, I believe, one of the only answers to the Minnesota Timberwolves right now, other than a point guard. We do need a point guard, but point guard Anthony Edwards has looked okay. So right now, here is kind of what we're dealing with. If you haven't been following the Timberwolves or anything, Edwards has been playing the point guard position. DiVincenzo's been playing the 2 guard. McDaniels, Randall, and Gobert. Then you've been having Naz Reid, Shannon, Clark, Highland, Dillingham, all kind of, and Conley, when he's healthy, play off the bench. The bench is okay, and I think the bench would kind of be okay to scrunch down if we were to get Giannis. But how would we get Giannis with all the money that we have? We are going to figure that out right now here. But also, before we get Giannis, what are some point guards that we could get? And there have been some rumors of a couple. So I will spend a little more time talking about different trades other than just one trade, because I know the Timberwolves a little bit more. They are my favorite team. They're the team I cover, the team that I follow, the team I support. But there's been rumors about a Colby White trade happening. And first of all, the trade has been consisting of DiVincenzo and Dillingham. So I guess it works financially, or it should. Um, but that was what I was saying. I don't want to give up DiVincenzo. That's just me. I don't want to give up DiVincenzo. So Dillingham for Colby White would obviously not work, but I would be fine to throw in like either a Johan Baron J. I would be fine throwing a Terrence Shannon. But or even, a Mike Conley. Uh, would this work financially? Would this work? I'm pretty sure, yeah, it would work. And then I would be okay giving you guys like a couple second round picks just because it is Conley. So like 2 second round picks in 2026 for Conley, Dillingham for Colby White. I would for sure be okay with that. However, I don't really like that. No disrespect to Colby White. I just don't think he's the best fit. I think Kyrie Irving could be an interesting fit. He's been rumored to could come here. Also has John Morant, but we'll talk about John Morant. We haven't talked about John Morant in a while. Those rumors were so long ago, but there's still rumors. There are still rumors that he could get traded. Also, there's rumors that Anthony Davis could get traded. So, could the Knicks try to trade for Anthony Davis? I just don't think so because of the salary and of the age and the health of Anthony Davis. Kyrie Irving's 33 years old. He's got 3 years left on his deal. On this trade, we would probably have to add in one of our bigger contracts. Probably is my guess, Julius Randle. Julius Randle for Kyrie Irving obviously would not work. The Timberwolves would acquire 5 too much money, and then you would probably give up Terrence Shannon, Baron J, or Dillingham, and I would be fine giving up Dillingham. So Dillingham, Randall, it still currently fails because Dallas is hard capped and over the first apron, so you have to give them exactly what they want. So I'm going to take Dillingham actually out of this. I'm going to put Shannon in and see how much more money we have to $3 million to be exact. Yikes, that's hard. Like a Jalen could be someone we add in, but I mean to get Irving, it would definitely be a little harder than I was anticipating, just because they're not going to take Gobert. You could do Nas. Like, why are his restrictions? His restrictions should be off. Nas, you throw him in. You get rid of Terrence. You get rid of Julius. Hold on, just restart. 15 million. So, like, would that be a Conley? So you swap an older guy, Nas Reed, Kyrie Irving, and then it would be 4.2, and that is what you could get for Johan Baron J. And I believe that would work financially. You are under the allowable. Yeah. First apron. Oh, we can't take it. Yeah, I mean, this would definitely be a more complex trade. But something like that could be done if you were to, figure that out. But again, the more realistic trade that I think is going to happen, I think we're going to get Giannis Antetokounmpo. That's just me. I think he wants to play here, and I just think Giannis and Anthony Edwards on the same court, on the same team would be absolutely insane. And I think it gives us the best shot to beat the one, the only Oklahoma City Thunder. Obviously, who would we give up? Well, we would have to give up Julius Randle. Could you do this straight up? No, you could not. You would have to give up somebody else because of the salary, and that somebody else would probably have to be either Jaden McDaniels or Nas Reed. Nas, if you do Nas and Randall, your bench gets absolutely deploted. And absolutely, it just wrecks a lot of things. But then you could think about, maybe putting in Highland. I mean, I like Highland a lot, so maybe we try to keep Highland and you put Dillingham in this trade. Could you do that? Would it match? It would go. Matteo would not Matteo. Minnesota would have 12 players and would needs to be in roster compliance. We would just sign extra players. Right now, Randall, Reed, Dillingham. That just seems. I don't know. Like our new lineup would be DiVincenzo, Edwards, Gobert, McDaniels, and Giannis, with Conley, Shannon, Clark off the bench, and Highland off the bench. Do you want to trade that much? I think it would be fine. You get a one veteran in Julius Randle for the Bucks, and then you get two young guys in Reed and Dillingham, who could be your point guard of the future if you wanted to, and Nas can be your good starting center. And you go big with Randle, Turner, and Nas, or Nas off the bench even. You could do that. I mean, this would work. But also, as I said, there could be a 3-team trade with the Bulls coming. So the Bulls have dropped, it's horrendous. It's so sad what happened with the Bulls. The Bulls are 10-15 now. They started like 6-1 or something like that. They were insane. But now they're just kind of needing to sell off some of their older pieces to get some younger pieces, or just a piece that could help them maybe compete, even because the Eastern Conference is so bad, maybe they could slip into the playoffs somehow. So it would be those 3 teams. And if you've watched my trade Timberwolves rumors and stuff like that episode, you have an idea of what I'm going to do here. Basically, Randall would get sent to Chicago. Giannis would be sent to Minnesota. And then they would send these couple guys, Patrick Williams to Milwaukee, Kevin Huerter to Milwaukee. This was the base for the trade, and then this means you don't have to give them as much. Needs to send something to and from Minnesota. Minnesota needs to receive something. Yeah. Didn't I send Julius? I swear I sent it. Minnesota. There we go. Okay. So this trade currently fails, obviously. Yes. And it's because we are inquiring 23 too much. Meaning we would have to give up $23 million, which would either be Nas Reed or Jaden McDaniels. Restrictions off for now, just because this is how it would be. They would do it when everybody would be available to be traded. Nas Reed is, I think, because people love Jaden, and I would be okay, getting rid of Nas or Jaden, but for the people's sake, I will get rid of Nas in this. I would trade, dude, there is so many weird options here. I think I would trade Nas to Chicago. No, not to Chicago. What am I doing? To Milwaukee. This should work financially for most. Bucks would acquire too much salary. We would acquire Okay, Bucks would acquire too much. They would have to send somebody $3 million, just a cheap deal. Maybe even Gary Trent. Sent or Gay Harris here to Chicago. That should fix that. Good. They're fine here. And then we're just a league minimum away from making this one work for us. Leonard Miller could go to Chicago. I would be fine with that. And this would all work financially, okay? So this is, hold on. Hide the financial breakdown. I don't need this. I just want to see the trade here. Minnesota would acquire Giannis Antetokounmpo. The Bucks would acquire Patrick Williams, Kevin Huerter, and Nas Reed. That's an insane package. Bulls would acquire Randall, Harris, and Miller. That's kind of insane. But again, Harris and Miller aren't really good. You're really just getting Julius Randle. I think the Minnesota Timberwolves would then give their 26 first-round pick to Milwaukee and their 28 first-round pick to Milwaukee. So the Bucks are getting an insane hide this. I don't need to see this. It just makes everything more confusing. I'm trying to break this down. Okay. The Bucks would acquire 2 first-round picks, Nas Reed, Kevin Huerter, Patrick Williams, and 2 first-round picks. We would acquire Giannis, give up Randall. Harris would also go to the Bulls, and Miller would go to the Bulls. I want to show you guys here. Um, Where is? I want to show you the Bulls lineup here. Like they're the guys that they would trade would all trade candidates right now. So it's not like I'm just having them trade random players. Believe me, this trade would make the Bulls just as good. Okay, this would help the Bulls. This would help the Bucks. This would help the Timberwolves. I think it's a fantastic trade idea. Obviously, because I made it. But anyway, here are the Bulls. Bulls would have Giddey White as their backcourt. Modest, Vucevic. You would move Modest to the small forward. Modest, Vucevic, and Giannis and Julius Randle, not Giannis. That's an insane starting five. Okay, and they're all under contract for the next couple of years. Your bench would for sure get a little interesting with Horter gone, and then who's the guy we also traded for? Williams, Patrick Williams. Here, your bench would get a little thin, but you would also be getting You have Trey Jones, you have Io, and you have Zach Collins. But then you're also getting Leonard Miller, who we've seen can play pretty good basketball. We could even swap that. I would be okay giving up Jalen Clark, but I think I like Jalen Clark a little bit. But then they get also Gay Harris as well. So that's like a Kevin Horter replacement. Not as good, but like still a body that can be like that. And you can play more of your starting lineup 30 minutes a night. We know how much I like Modest and etc. That works for the Bulls a lot. And then for the Timberwolves, you have DiVincenzo, Edwards, McDaniels, Gobert, and Giannis with Clark, Shannon, and Conley as your bench. And you can even have Baron J. They like Baron J. They want Baron J to play more. That's a solid 9-man rotation, which you're going to play more of your starting lineup anyway in the playoffs, which that works very well, in my opinion. And then finally, for the Milwaukee Bucks, sure, would have to give up Giannis, but Giannis doesn't necessarily want to stay on your team. So you can get something for him that is a pretty good return. Could keep you get 2 first-round picks out of this as well. And hey, I could be saying the Timberwolves are overpaying a little bit. Sure. Kevin Porter Jr., Ryan Reynolds, AJ Green, Kyle Kuzma, Miles Turner. That is who their lineup is right now because Giannis is out with an injury. They are not giving up any of those players. So they keep all those players and add Patrick Williams and Kevin Huerter to the starting lineup. They add Naz Reid and they get 2 firsts. They might even maybe getting too much. But I think it works so well for all 3 teams that who says no? Who says no to this trade, okay? The Bulls acquire Gary Harris, Julius Randle, and Leonard Miller. The Bucks acquire Patrick Williams, Kevin Huerter, and Naz Reid, also 2 of Minnesota's first-round picks in 26 and 28, okay? And then the Timberwolves get Giannis. Who says no? It makes sense for every single team. The lineups would all look way better. And I'm saying, bro, who says no to this trade? I love this trade so much. And yeah, just let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. But yeah, that's where I'm going to leave it here for this trade idea. Man. So Timberwolves, we get to eliminate you, and we got 2 more people to talk about. Yeah, we're not done yet, boys. We're not done. We got the Spurs and the Lakers. How can they make each other better? We got the Spurs. Okay, here's the thing. San Antonio Spurs. Shocking. I was going to talk about what trades they can make. They could fill out their bench for sure. But they beat the Oklahoma City Thunder already. I think, and Victor Wembanyama wasn't even playing the full game. I think Victor Wembanyama is enough with that team, with De'Aaron Fox, with Stephon Castle, with Dylan Harper, to beat the Oklahoma City Thunder. I don't think they have to make much moves. They could make their bench a little bit better, trade away Harrison Barnes maybe for somebody off the bench. But San Antonio Spurs, you guys are good. Which means we're moving on to that last team. We're moving on to the last team, the Los Angeles Lakers. The Lakers are in a very interesting spot right now. Sitting at 3rd spot in the Western Conference. 18-7. Luka Doncic, LeBron James, Austin Reeves are your big 3. And it's just really interesting. Their lineup is very weird. Like, you wouldn't think it would be that good with, Aiton and Hachimura in the lineup, but it is good. Hachimura is going to be a free agent soon. Could you trade him? Yes. I'm really interested. I'm kind of disappointed also that these two teams are the ones left, the Spurs and the Lakers, because I had the least things to say about them. The Los Angeles Lakers, when you're taking a look at their weakness, uh, it's their bench. But they also don't really have the money to make bigger moves. They are under the salary cap by $56 million. So who could they trade for? Somebody off the bench, it would have to be, or maybe a small forward to replace Hachimura. But I'm going to make things a little interesting, just a little interesting, and play a little what if game because you could make your own Laker trade. I think it's one of the easier teams to make trades for. I'm going to pull up this trade, okay? I'm going to show you guys the teams that I have in this trade with the Lakers and see if you can guess what I'm going to do. The Los Angeles Lakers and the Cleveland Cavaliers sending LeBron James home. You can tell me as much as you want, LeBron is not going back to Cleveland. I think he could. And just to make this video a little more intense, to make this podcast a little more intense, because I don't know exactly what to do with the Lakers, we're going to make it a little interesting. And we're going to send LeBron James home. Now you say, who would they give up? Well, it would probably be DeAndre Hunter, who is under contract for the next 2-3 years. And then we got to figure out, probably in a way, do you do Jarrett Allen or Darius Garland? It would be one of those two. But I'm thinking, you could do Lonzo Ball to help your bench out. Like, DeAndre Hunter is doing pretty good for LeBron. Is doing about the same numbers as LeBron right now. And he's younger too. So that fills your starting lineup already. And then you just help this bench get better. Max Strus is probably that next guy. Strus comes in. And then you have to add one more. Probably, somebody like Dean Wade or Sam Merrill. I'd add Sam Merrill to this team. And we're still not there. And then Jalen Tyson. Something like that for LeBron James. Oh my gosh, we're still not there. Proctor. Are we there now? Okay, we're still not there. But anyway, it would be a package like that with just people for the bench, okay? It'd be people for the bench. The Lakers, in a way, I feel like the Lakers even give up a pick for this. Do they even have picks? Like a 2020, they give up like a 2030 first round pick. Because, you might not take it. But I think even without the pick, they get DeAndre Hunter and then a bunch of young guys for their bench. And I know a lot of shooting guards, and you can mess around with the prospects. Not the prospects, the bench players you get. But, you could get maybe I could see them getting Lonzo for sure. And then maybe getting, Dean Wade. Get Jalen Tyson out of here. Get Proctor out of here. It's $52,000. Sorry, it's $52 million. What am I saying? But could you also think about, would it be possible, would they do this where they trade Jarrett Allen? Would they trade Jarrett Allen? And I'm thinking, yeah, they probably could trade Jarrett Allen. I low-key think they could trade Jarrett Allen and DeAndre Hunter, and then probably they would keep Lonzo. They'd keep Merrill. They would keep Dean Wade. And let's just see if that gets there. Still 13, but you trade then, I think DeAndre Ayton is making, $8 million. So you give them a center that they can at least play with. They can at least have. And then it's a $1 million deficit. You add your cheapest player for, they have to get rid of Proctor. There you go. You put him back in, and that works almost perfectly. LeBron, Ayton, and a first-round pick for DeAndre Hunter, Jared Allen, Strauss, Proctor. This helps both teams, I think. And, I think, would they take that? They would get a first round out of this. They would get DeAndre Ayton, who's under contract for 2 years. Your new lineup would be Mitchell, Mobley, Garland, Ayton, LeBron with a first-round pick, and you keep your bench almost the same. You could do that. And I just wanted, to end this episode off with an interesting trade. I don't think that might happen. I think Cleveland will just sign LeBron for a 1-day contract, and he'll retire as a Cav. But could a trade like this happen? I think it could. I think it could be interesting to see what happens. But yeah, what an episode. What an episode. We just spent the last hour or so talking about who are the contenders other than the Oklahoma City Thunder and what their biggest need is. In a way, we talked about. We said how could they address it, what trades they could do to make themselves better and try to compete with the Oklahoma City Thunder. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. And before we head out, I wanted to show you guys here. Because I'm starting to be off school for the rest of the month of December. I'm gonna try to post almost daily podcast episodes here. So coming up tomorrow is our NFL Weekly Show. It's our Week 16 show. What I learned from last week of the NFL, our picks, predictions, power rankings, and so much more coming up tomorrow on my NFL show. Friday, we're talking about the Mets and did they mess up everything by getting rid of Pete Alonso and Edwin Diaz, basically just losing them for nothing in free agency. And then next week, we're going to talk about what each team in each league or a couple of the teams, we'll maybe pick 5 or 6 teams from each league on each day to talk about what they want for Christmas as we count down to Christmas. There's a lot of good NBA Christmas games, so we're going to do NBA Christmas games preview. That will probably be on Christmas Eve. And then the week after Christmas, the 28th through 31st, there will be some episodes some Kingdom competitor episodes on some Sundays, but then we'll also redraft some of the last NBA drafts and seeing what the league could look like if the players actually got drafted where they should have been drafted. We're also going to talk a little bit about who is still out there in free agency for the MLB. We'll kind of power rank the remaining people. And just so much more coming up here on Inside the Zone with Matteo. You see, it's a lot that I'm doing, and I'm trying to, grow my community. So I'd appreciate if you would like and subscribe if you haven't already. And also, the prediction show will be the first episode of the new year. It will be making predictions for the world of sports in 2026. And that's a great way to kick off 2026, the new year. So yeah, that's what's all coming up on Inside the Zone with Matteo. I can see it's going to be a lot. Yeah, it is going to be a lot. And I still post shorts. I post gaming content. I'm just trying to grow my community, and I would appreciate everybody if you would like and subscribe because, it just really helps the channel. You don't have to pay. You don't have to pay to subscribe. It's completely free. And, so that's just why I ask because, it's one button. And maybe if you just watch a video once a week or once every 2 weeks, it still helps a lot. Also, my podcast, most of my podcast episodes are available on Spotify. So my link is in the description of this video and my channel. You can follow me on X as well if you would like. But yeah, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Don't forget to keep God first. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.